Hi everyone, good to be back with you. Here I am back for our collective worship, and this morning we're going to look at the importance of learning from our mistakes and the importance of forgiveness and perseverance. Now, perseverance means you keep trying, but it's all to do with courage, because without courage we can't do any of those things, and I'll explain as we go along. And I want to look at the story of the Lion King. How many of you know about the Lion King? Have you seen the film? Have you? Well, actually, you might have been in the production 2 years ago, I think it was now. You put on a fantastic production in this school about the Lion King. I was there and it was absolutely brilliant. You were all excellent, those who were in it. Absolutely brilliant. But do you remember that story? And do you remember who was the main character? I'm sure you do. Who was it? Yeah, it was Simba, wasn't it? It was Simba. And of course, in the film at the beginning, Simba runs away, doesn't he, from his home, Pride Rock, because he thinks he's done something wrong. And when he was grown up, Simba has to make a decision, doesn't he? Whether to face up to his past and return home to sort out the problem, or stay where he is. You see, Simba needs courage. But then I was thinking about another story, the story in the Bible about one of Jesus' special friends. And Peter was one of Jesus' first disciples. Do you remember Peter, the disciple, the fisherman? Well, he spent 3 years travelling with Jesus and working alongside him. And I suppose Peter would have been considered one of Jesus' best friends. Jesus had also told Peter that one day Peter would be the person who would lead the whole church. Wow, I bet that must have been something for Peter to hear. He was only a simple fisherman. However, despite his close friendship with Jesus, Peter sometimes made big mistakes. Oh dear, poor Peter. Well, the story I'm thinking about, we move on to Easter, the Easter story. Jesus had been arrested, and Peter has followed Jesus and the soldiers to the place where he's been taken. And Peter is there, and he ends up saying 3 times that he doesn't know Jesus at all. Now, this is something Jesus had warned him about. He said Peter would do it. But you see, Peter, when he first heard it, didn't believe that that would happen because he loved Jesus. But Peter had no courage. He was frightened in the situation. He was so frightened. Well, if you remember the Easter story, a bit further on in the part where it says the resurrection, where Jesus came back to life so that he could, for the next 40 days, he appeared to the disciples a few times and taught them about why he had to die on the cross. And just before Jesus returned to heaven, to his Father in heaven, the disciples and Jesus had breakfast together. He turned up on the beach, and after the meal, Jesus did an amazing thing. He took Peter for a walk along the beach and made it clear that although he knew Peter had let him down, he forgave him. And he still had important work for Peter to do. Having this forgiveness enabled Peter to move on with his life in a positive way. And Peter ended up travelling around the Roman Empire teaching people about Jesus. That's what happened when Jesus showed Peter about making right the mistakes he'd done, having the courage to say sorry. Well, he had to have courage travelling around the Roman Empire, didn't he? That was quite something, taking up that Jesus' story all around the Roman Empire, because, you know, some people didn't like what Jesus had to say, so it was very, very difficult. But one of the things out of this story about Peter is that being able to forgive people who've made mistakes is an important skill, because it does take courage to sort of turn the other cheek, as they say in the Bible, to forgive people. It's not easy, but it helps us to learn from our own mistakes as well. It makes people feel better, especially if they've been feeling miserable or cross since they made the mistake. So you see, Simba made a mistake, But he had the courage, he found his courage to return and went back and said sorry, didn't he? And then he became King of Pride Rock. Do you remember in the film when he stood on Pride Rock and he roared? And that was his courage, saying, I'm back, I'm putting things right. All was well because he took the courageous decision to turn around, to go back and to say sorry, to do the right thing. Now Peter made a mistake and he lost his courage, didn't he? Because he was too afraid, but it wasn't too late. It's never too late with Jesus. Jesus appeared to him and he gave him the opportunity to say sorry. That gave Peter the courage to go on and do what Jesus asked, to help build the church. And you know, that was quite an amazing thing, because if you think about it, the reason we have our Christian faith today, the reason we have our churches, is because Jesus sent Peter to out to the places to tell everybody about Jesus and how much he loved everybody. And so Peter was the one who started all those little churches that grew into the churches that we know today. And that's amazing, isn't it? Courage. We need to have courage to admit when we have made a mistake and to say sorry as soon as we can. You see, when we realise we've made a mistake, it's important not to repeat the same mistake again, because it's too easy to become a bad habit. We just keep doing the same mistake over and over again, and that's not good, is it? It's always best to say sorry and sort out our mistake straight away. If somebody apologises to us for making a mistake, it's really lovely. That's one of our values, isn't it? Kindness, patience, being kind with me, being patient, listening to what people have to say and accepting their apology, so that then, like Peter, you can move on in a positive way. And it does take courage, because, sometimes we may not feel like we want to do any of those things. We may just want to not say sorry because we're frightened, or we may not want to say, yes, I forgive you, because actually we're still cross with that person. But when we have the courage to do that, it's surprising how much better we feel. See, anybody can make a mistake. And Christians believe that it's important to have the courage to admit our mistakes to God, to come to him and say we're sorry. And we believe that when we get things wrong, we can say sorry, and God will always forgive us. This means we can have a fresh start and learn from our mistakes in the hope that we can avoid repeating them. God gives us that hope when we take courage to turn to him. And as I said, we know he will listen and help us. So, boys and girls, take courage. If you've made a mistake, find a way of going and saying sorry as soon as you can. If somebody comes and says sorry to you because of something they've done, have the courage to say, that's okay, I forgive you. Because that's the nice thing to do. That's all about our Christian values. That's all about being kind and doing the right thing, so that that person can then, like Peter, move on in a positive way. So, shall we put our hands together and close our eyes and say a prayer? I'll say a prayer for us all. Hands together, eyes closed. Dear God, thank you for our friends, our school and our families. Thank you for the opportunities we have to learn new things in and out of school. Thank you for all the staff and family members who celebrate our achievements, but can also help us to sort out our mistakes. We pray that when we know that we've made a mistake, we'll be quick to say sorry. Pray that we'll be quick to learn from our mistakes. Pray that we'll be quick to forgive others when they make mistakes that affect our lives. We pray that we will have courage to do the right thing. Amen. Amen. Thank you for listening, boys and girls. And don't forget what I always tell you, Jesus loves you. And I think you're brilliant. Look forward to the next time when we can get together for collective worship. Keep on doing all the right things. Have courage and take care. Bye for now. Bye.